Welcome to PD Connect, connecting the Parkinson's community with resources, information, and each other.
Today, we're joined by a special guest and good friend from the Michael J. Fox Foundation, Axi Wechter. Axi has been with the foundation since 2016, and she currently serves as an associate director with Team Fox. Axi is going to help us with a crash course on fundraising. If you've thought about fundraising to support a Parkinson's nonprofit, but you aren't sure how to get started, we'll offer some tips to help you get going. If you're looking to expand your existing fundraising efforts, you should find some useful info in this episode as well. Welcome to the show, Axi.
Thank you, Chad. Glad to be here.
Welcome, Axi.
Thank you.
Axi, if you would, start our listeners off with an overview of what Team Fox does.
Great. So Team Fox, it's our grassroots community fundraising division here at the Michael J. Fox Foundation. So these are our wonderful members that, decide to host their own fundraisers to benefit Parkinson's research.
Excellent. And if you could, tell us a little bit more about your specific role within Team Fox.
Awesome. Well, I'm here on the Team Fox staff. So my role at the Michael J. Fox Foundation is I'm actually leading and overseeing all of the Team Fox efforts across the East Coast. So that basically, in a nutshell, is working and supporting our amazing members who are in Maine all the way down to Florida.
And we, of course, because we fall within that region, have worked with you quite a bit over the last couple of years on some of the fundraising events that we do. And that led us to want to bring you on to this episode, or led us to ask you to join us to talk to our listeners about some ideas for fundraising, about how to get started in fundraising. For those listeners out there who might have an interest in fundraising but aren't sure how to get started, and also to share some of the creative ideas or creative fundraisers that you've seen done by the Team Fox members. Let's begin with your thoughts or ideas for members of the Parkinson's community who have an interest in fundraising but may be unsure about how to get started.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And, a lot of times we get phone calls and emails from people who, want to do a fundraiser, but they just don't know where to start. And our biggest word of advice is to start small and start local. And really that means taking something that you are passionate about, that your friends and community are interested in, and turning it into a fundraiser that is, your very own.
That's great advice. And I will tell you that's consistent with the experience that Tanya and I have had. You said a couple of important things there. One is start small. And just to share with everyone from the experience that Tanya and I have had with fundraising, or how we got our start, Tanya started small. She started with a fundraiser in a local boutique that it was a fashion-themed fundraiser, which it eventually grew into doing much larger fashion-themed fundraisers. But I think one of the common issues out there for people who have an interest in fundraising but are hesitant to get started is the concern that the fundraiser is not going to raise enough money or won't meet whatever goals that they have sort of set in their own mind about, fundraising. And the notion that for some reason, that every fundraiser has to raise thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, and not recognizing that even a fundraiser that raises $500 is significant.
I think that with our first fundraiser where we teamed up with a local boutique, it was a shot for a cause. And I think the owner agreed to donate 10% of the proceeds to the foundation. And I think the donation we ultimately raised was like $1,000 or maybe $800, not even. But that $800 was really significant to us because that was our first time doing a fundraiser, and every dollar counts. So it made me feel like that we were contributing to the Parkinson's community.
What Tanya just said about the every dollar matters is particularly true with respect to Team Fox, because 100% of the funds that are raised through Team Fox fundraising events go directly to research, right, Axi?
Yes, that's right. 100% of the money raised by our amazing Team Fox members goes directly to research. And it's, even more special in my mind because a lot of these dollars and the money that's raised is funds that we may have not ever achieved without our Team Fox members. They're the ones in the community that are making those connections. And, from a non-monetary standpoint, these events raise awareness. So when I think of, the shop for a cause, I think of how many people might have, seen information about Parkinson's that they have, have never seen before and didn't know before. And so that awareness aspect is very crucial, on top of also, building a community and events that show support, for people with Parkinson's. That's, a very special aspect as well.
That awareness piece, we would agree 100% is incredibly important. And to give an example of that, and we'll talk more about this in a little bit, but one of the things that Tanya has done here in the Central Florida area is partnered with a local Bloomingdale's store. And as you know, Axi, a couple of years ago, the Bloomingdale's event that they did in partnership with Team Fox and with Tanya was an orange-themed, fashion-themed fundraiser during April. That the fundraising component was good. It was a solid fundraising amount that was raised, but the bigger piece was the fact that for an extended period of time, and I think it was in excess of a week, there was this display that was in orange, the color of the Michael J. Fox Foundation, that promoted Parkinson's Awareness Month, that promoted the Michael J. Fox Foundation and the work being done by the organization, and it was right by the escalator. And I mean, you couldn't miss it. And it was clear that it was themed in that color for a particular reason. And that to me has always jumped out as a really impactful fundraiser with respect that had an awareness component that everyone, this is a very popular mall. So there were literally thousands and thousands of people who passed by that display, saw those colors, I'm sure stopped to see why there was this really bright orange display, and became more aware not only of Parkinson's Awareness Month and Parkinson's disease, but also of the critical work being done by the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And so just to echo the point that you made, even if the fundraiser only raises a few $100s or $500, if it also connects with the community and starts to build relationships, which we're also going to talk about, and if it raises awareness, even among just a handful of people who didn't appreciate the impact of Parkinson's disease and didn't really understand the disease, that's huge. I think that's a huge gain no matter what.
Exactly. I would totally agree with, I still kind of have the image of, Tanya sitting amongst all of the orange and Bloomingdale's and, the presence that it made on social media from, people seeing this, effort done in a busy store, as you were saying, and then the local sense of people seeing this and wanting to know more and wanting to know what was going on. It was, extremely valuable.
Axi, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't there Team Fox members that do like some smaller fundraisers for like painting for a cause, like a wine and paint? And Yes. And that's one of the, great things is, and kind of, I guess, a little fundraising tip is, a lot of times people will come and they'll want to do one big event, but sometimes doing smaller events, with your friends or with your network is also another amazing idea, to raise money and also raise awareness. So there are lots of local people around the country, and there's a couple in Florida who, have done some paint and wine nights, have done some portion of proceeds with some local ice cream shops, and, really just kind of engage people throughout the year, but like on a smaller scale, on a more intimate scale. And I think that's fabulous because I think it's more manageable because a lot of people probably don't have the time to invest in a massive fundraiser.
Exactly. And, again, a great example with the paint and wine night is that something that a lot of local places already do. It's an activity that's all set up. So really, just making that ask for them to be lowering the price or maybe, donating a little bit to the cause, but then having their friends maybe pay a little bit more than they normally would and have that funds go to Parkinson's research. It's a very easy way to, again, get people involved, and it's an easy lift on, the person who's hosting it.
Staying with this theme of starting small, the other thing about that is that a fundraiser that starts small can grow into something much larger over time. And you and I talked off the air about a perfect example of that. You want to mention the ride that's grown, that now is one of the biggest Team Fox events in the country, but that started, as I understand it, with initially only a handful of participants?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you so much for reminding me about that. So the New England Parkinson's Ride, which is the largest Team Fox event in revenue and in participants, they welcomed over 1,000 riders this year and raised over $1 million, which is just incredible. But I always love to tell the story of how they actually just started their first year. They started off with 10 riders. And, that really shows that they started small, they got it right, and then they, built on that platform. And now it's a huge weekend that, people travel to from all around the country.
And I think that emphasizes, again, don't hesitate to start small, build it over time, be patient as it builds, and along the way, realize that you're still making an impact, both from a fundraising standpoint and an awareness standpoint. The other thing that I think is important to recognize as you're trying to get started is it's okay to be a copycat. And by that, I mean it's okay to look at what others have done, whether it's for Team Fox or whether you're interested in fundraising for a different Parkinson's organization. Look at what's been done in other parts of the country and consider trying to bring that same concept or fundraiser to your community. And, through that also reach out to those Team Fox members or those members of another organization who've run a fundraiser in another part of the country, because realize that you're not competing with what they've done. We all have a common goal. We're all working together. And I think in the vast majority of instances, those people would be happy to help get you started with a similar event in your area. Would you say that's been your experience as with Team Fox, as you've worked with different Team Fox members who are trying to start up similar fundraisers in different parts of the country?
Definitely. I mean, our members, they love to share. They love to help out other people. And, I guess one of my favorite events that I guess would be considered a copycat event is Pancakes for Parkinson's, which was started at UVA. They were the first to kind of do it on the lawn there right at the university. And it was just a great way to get the students involved. But the best part about it is it sparked kind of this idea in lots of other communities. So we have pancake breakfast all around the country. And, our members have taken that kind of core concept of the pancake breakfast, but made it their own. So some people do, pancake competitions of who can make the best pancakes, which griddle team, can possibly raise the most money. Sometimes it's just very informal and it's a gathering of lots of families in the community to a portion of proceeds of the local diners doing pancake breakfast. So it's a perfect way of kind of copying something that could work in your community and then building on it to kind of make it your own as well.
Well, and Pancakes for Parkinson's is a great example of an event that sounds, small and simple and easy to execute, and I'm sure in many ways is, but accomplishes fantastic fundraising goals. I mean, the first time I heard what at least the original Pancakes for Parkinson's event raises on an annual basis, I mean, it was staggering to me how this fairly simple concept has turned into such a fantastic fundraiser. And again, that just emphasizes the idea you can start small with something, build it over time, and it can grow into just this incredible fundraiser. For our listeners out there who might be interested in trying to explore ideas for doing a fundraiser in their area and maybe looking to copy something that's already been done, can you share what the resources are with Team Fox that they could tap into to explore those ideas?
Of course. I think, one of my favorite resources is our Team Fox blog. You can find it, by going to teamfox.org. And then if you can see the headlines, on that page and click to read more. But it's an amazing resource where you can see where we've highlighted members, talked about, members who've been with us for over 10 years and giving their fundraising tips. But it's just also to see what's interesting of what's going on in your local community or events that might work for your audience or, something that you might want to take on as well.
And then if listeners want to check out the Team Fox social media accounts to see whether it's, snippets from blog updates or other things that are being pushed out on social media, can you share with our audience what those Twitter handle is and Instagram?
Of course. Yeah. So our Facebook, we are at Team Fox. And we post all of our blogs, share moments from, members' events, kind of promote a lot of things that are coming up. So I encourage all of the listeners to follow at Team Fox. Then for Twitter, we are also at Team Fox. And then Instagram is actually Team Fox MJFF. And you'll see our logo on all of the profile pictures, so you'll know it's us.
Thanks, Axi. I want to go back to something that you said a few minutes ago, which was about the idea of following your passion when you are developing fundraising ideas or as you explore different fundraising ideas. I think that's such a critical point because recognizing you don't have to do, we talked about it's okay to be a copycat, but you don't have to be a copycat. You can be unique. You can take your own approach, and you can take something, almost anything that you're passionate about, and turn it into a fundraising opportunity. I mean, the level of creativity that we've seen in Team Fox events across the country. You talk about Pancakes for Parkinson's. And in our case, as I mentioned earlier, it was a fashion-themed fundraiser for Tanya. And it was taking something that she, felt passionate about, that she enjoyed, and figuring out a way to start small with a fundraiser and then, over time, build that into something much larger. And, Tanya, you want to speak to that for just a minute about, why it was you chose fashion and how how you initially got started with that, or we initially together got started with that?
Yes, of course I love shoes, which is why my blog is called The Shoe Maven. But the love for shoes coincides with the love for fashion. And I figured I might as well take something that I love and enjoy and turn it into a passion of mine for fundraising for a cure for Parkinson's. And so I decided to do Team Fox events, fashion-based Team Fox events, which I don't think has ever been done before, but it's led to many things that I didn't anticipate, including shopping for causes. And now we're in the second consecutive year with Bloomingdale's, partnering with them, where Michael J. Fox Foundation is the Florida charity for the Orlando store. And that leads to a significant donation from Bloomingdale's, which is really nice.
The relationship with Bloomingdale's that Tanya mentioned emphasizes another point about fundraising and growing it over time. That didn't exist at the beginning. It was she started with a shop for cause with a small local boutique. For those who are aware of what we've done here in the Central Florida area, that then grew into an annual event that we did called the Art of Fashion, which wasn't tied to any particular department store or major label, but that Art of Fashion made a splash and allowed her to start to build relationships. And Bloomingdale's, I think, participated in the Art of Fashion one year or made some donations, silent auction donations. And she began to build a relationship with a person at the local Bloomingdale's store. And over time, that grew into, well, what can we do together? And I actually can remember the first time that she was invited in to have a meeting with this wonderful person in our area, Jennifer Benson, who works at the local Bloomingdale's and is involved in their PR and marketing and setting up their various programs. I can remember when she invited Tanya in, and Tanya calls me afterward and tells me about this incredible meeting that she had and how Bloomingdale's the local store is looking to partner with her on future events. That was actually several years ago and started, small with events that were fundraisers and then grew into a partnership that is now this annual, as Tanya pointed out, second year in a row where they're making a flat donation. And it's an even, bigger, if you will, commitment from Bloomingdale's to the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And it shows that you can start small, you can build relationships, you build out within your community, and it's incredible the doors that will open. And the next thing you know, you're working with a major company, a major sponsor, a major partner, which is truly what we would consider Bloomingdale's. And I know you would echo that too, Axi, is they are a partner in this annual fundraiser. And, if we had said 5 years ago, hey, be patient. And over time, Tanya, you're one day going to be partnering with Bloomingdale's as part of your Art of Fashion efforts. We would have said, no way. No way that happens. So it's just incredible. I think it's just such an important point about building those relationships and being patient and let it grow over time.
That's so true, Chad. And, Bloomingdale's, they've just been amazingly generous and just so easy to work with. And we're just so excited for their continued partnership with us. And, I really, owe that partnership to Tanya and Tanya's passion. Because when you have a Team Fox member who is passionate about what they're doing and passionate about their fundraiser, you do get these, amazing connections where people want to get involved. And we're just so excited that Bloomingdale's saw Tanya's passion and, took that leap and decided to get involved, with fundraising for Parkinson's research.
Right. So in case we haven't hammered this point enough to our listeners, find something you're passionate about. Don't be afraid to be a copycat if it copies what someone else has done. But at the same time, don't be afraid to strike out on your own, be unique in what you're doing, and rest assured almost anything you think of can somehow become a fundraising opportunity and an awareness raising opportunity.
I was going to say, I think I've even seen people that do knitting for fundraising.
Yes, it's amazing of how creative our Team Fox members are. I mean, we have people who, are knitting. We have people who are doing cupcake challenges, which honestly should be its own Netflix TV show. It's incredible, the competition in these creations. But, we have groups who are doing puppies and Pilates for Parkinson's. We have a kids film it festival in Cleveland that's literally run by, kids who are interested in film and doing their own films, and even a famous photographer in Boston who does a photo themed cocktail party. These are all perfect ideas where people are taking their passion and really kind of making these unique fundraisers.
One thing that I would say to Tanya and I, if we were able to go back and speak to ourselves years ago when we first started down the road of becoming involved in Team Fox, is don't be afraid to ask for help. If we made what I'll call a mistake along the way, and maybe mistake is too strong of a word, but if we could do something differently, I would say that over the years, it would have been better if we had been more willing to ask for help. I can actually remember speaking to your predecessor at Team Fox at one point, who contacted us after we'd held a Team Fox event and was and this was early on, and saying, we could be of more help to you if you would just communicate with us. But not only reaching out to Team Fox, or again, whatever organization you're choosing to fundraise for in the Parkinson's community, we're all in this together and we're all after the same goal. So wherever you choose to lend a hand or offer fundraising support, to reach out to that organization. But not only that, to reach out within your own community, within your own immediate network of family and friends, and to get them involved. People are more willing to get involved than you realize. And if you try to do it all yourself, it can become exhausting or it can become self-limiting. And we really experienced both with a fundraiser, with our Art of Fashion annual fundraiser that we did and grew over a period of time before we sort of tied it into Bloomingdale's, which we're doing this year, which will be a very different event, a fashion show, which is going to be really cool. But before we did that, it was essentially the two of us with a little bit of help from others who were running this event that was, took literally a month plus to prepare. My time at work would drop more than in half during the month of sort of late March and into April. And it became overwhelming. And if we had started off by saying, once we realized it was going to become an annual thing, let's form a committee. Let's pull some people in who can assist in what we're doing. Let's divide up the responsibilities. I think that the event potentially could have grown larger, but more importantly, wouldn't have been such an exhausting endeavor for us.
That is so true. And, it is something that we always encourage people where, as your event grows, you really need to grow the people that are involved. And a lot of times people do have that hesitation where they don't want to ask their network or their friends because they're worried, that they're busy and it might be a burden, but people love to help and people love to get involved. And so I always say you're not asking them for a favor, you're creating an opportunity for them to get involved and do something good. So, we always encourage as your event gets larger, make sure that, if you have a planning committee or if it's, your family and friends, to make sure that gets larger as the event gets larger. Because once an event gets to a certain size, it's not a 1 or 2 person show anymore.
And just to add to your point, Axi, one thing I learned is I was always afraid to ask. And then somebody said to me, well, what's the worst thing they're going to say? No. And I thought about it and I'm like, yeah, they're just going to say no. That's the worst thing that can happen. So why not make the ask? I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the support you receive from friends and even strangers.
That's such a great point, because it's not only make the ask in terms of asking for help in advance, but again, one of the things we learned along the way is a lot of these fundraisers that you see for, other organizations as well, charity fundraisers, during the event, they're making asks. They're asking for donations during the event. That's what everyone is there for. They have an expectation that they're going to be asked to bid on silent auction items, to make, maybe a flat donation, to whatever the case is, whatever the manner is by which you're fundraising during the event, but they expect to be asked. That's why they're there. And I too have had people have conversations with me and say, why, Chad, during your event, don't y'all emphasize more the point of making an ask? And so that's a great point, Tanya, and something else that I really hope that our listeners out there recognize. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask during the event for contributions to the cause.
And that's very true, because you're exactly right. Where people are at a fundraiser, they know that money is going to be asked, donations are going to be asked for. And, to provide that opportunity, people feel good after they've contributed to a great cause. And, we never get any angry phone calls from people being like, well, darn, I really wish I didn't do that. We get calls where I'm, so thankful that I donated to you guys. I'm feeling good about this. So, I think the stigma of asking people for money, should be cut down a little bit, because it makes people feel good that they're, contributing to a wonderful cause.
And there are people out there who, just to add to that, who are setting aside every year a certain amount of money that they're going to contribute to charitable organizations. They do it in part because they want to give. They do it in part because they want the tax benefit of it. And so they budget a certain amount of money. And I didn't really appreciate that until a very close friend and mentor of mine at one point several years ago reached out to me and said, hey, I know you're not doing a specific thing right now, but it's close to year end. And I've got a budgeted amount I give. I give a certain amount to my church. I give a certain amount to other charitable causes. And I'm looking for things where I have a personal connection. So give me the link to your Team Fox page or to Tanya's Team Fox page, because I'm going to make a donation. You need to realize that those people are out there that are already thinking about that during the year. And, if you engage in a fundraising effort, whether it be through an event or, as we're going to talk about later on with somebody else from Team Fox, whether you choose to be a Team Fox quote unquote athlete or participate in a Team Fox race or a Foxtrot, or, the New York City Marathon or the Walt Disney races or any of the number of other events that are around the country, once you decide to embark on that road and you start to share it on your social media, you start to share it in your personal networks, you're going to find that there are these people out there that you have a connection with that are looking to make donations to charitable causes, who are sort of saying, oh, I didn't realize that you were doing this. I'm going to now move some of those dollars into something that's important to you because you're important to me and I want to be supportive. And you never find that out until you start spreading the word about your involvement and about your efforts to raise support for, in this case, Parkinson's research.
That's a very great point. And I wanted to jump back quickly just on asking, not just your network and friends and family, for donations and for support in planning the event, but also asking for help from other Team Fox members. And then, thirdly, of asking, support from the Team Fox staff. But getting back again to asking support from our Team Fox members. This is a wonderful community of fundraisers who want to help. And, we constantly hear that people are connecting, and we're trying to connect those people as well to share fundraising ideas and to share best practices. And it's a wonderful community. So I encourage all the listeners who are, thinking about signing up for Team Fox or who have already signed up for Team Fox, ask for support from your friends and family, but also ask for support from your fellow Team Fox members. But last of all, and not least, please ask for support from the Team Fox staff. We're here thinking of ways where we can support our Team Fox members. Our members are wonderful in taking time out of their busy days to, raise money and awareness for Parkinson's research. So we want to be here, to support those efforts. And we do have, a lot of things when you sign up for Team Fox, where we have our own, fundraising platform where everyone has their own individual fundraising page. It's customizable. You can send fundraising emails from it. You can track who's donated to your page. We have a handbook that lives in the back end of those pages, which I actually had one Team Fox member say she slept with it for 3 weeks when she was doing her event. But it, definitely helped her. She, has just been killing it for the past couple of years. But we're here to support. We're here for, planning phone calls. We're, here to think of strategies. And then, all of the small stuff of helping you get your page up to getting some information, pamphlets and Team Fox banners for your event. And, we want to support as many Team Fox members as possible because our members are doing the wonderful things of being the boots on the ground and getting the word out on the community level.
You mentioned the word connecting, and that word is a word we really like on this show, and also the concept of community. And just to echo something you said, seeking support from fellow Team Fox members leads to, in our experience, relationships with those other Team Fox members in your community that goes way beyond your fundraising efforts. They become close personal contacts, someone that you can lean on if you're struggling with symptoms, someone else you can ask questions of, that if you're having an issue, with something, or you're curious about a reaction to a drug or whatever it is. I mean, you have someone else that you can reach out to that you have a connection with. And our central, as you know, Axi, Tanya's relationship and my relationship with the Central Florida Team Fox community is particularly strong. We have certain individuals in this community that have become very close personal friends, some who are, couples living with the disease, and others who are family members of someone who have it, who are passionate supporters of Team Fox. And those people are just such a tremendous, not only resource to us, but just somebody that Tanya can lean on at times, or that I can lean on at times from the caregiver perspective. And it just makes such a positive impact in facing the daily challenges of being a couple who is, in my case, with a spouse living with Parkinson's, and me as her husband living through the experience. So that community piece that can grow out of reaching out through a fundraiser, building those relationships, that is super important. And I think a great place for us to wrap up. So we will, as I mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit more about Team Fox in a future episode. We're already outlining, it may be a few months after this one, but outlining an idea to have somebody come on and talk about the Team Fox athlete program and the Foxtrot races. So I don't want to, ignore that, but we'll get to that later. In the meantime, thanks so much, Axi, for coming on to the show. I think that you've offered a lot of really valuable information to our listeners, and hopefully we've encouraged one or many people who will listen to this over time to get involved in fundraising, to start small, to be patient, let it grow over time, and to realize that no matter what, the efforts that they're undertaking, dollar for dollar, are making an impact, whether they do it in support of the Michael J. Fox Foundation or whether they do it in support of another organization. Just get going and get involved and let it grow.
Of course. Thank you guys so much for having me. This has been wonderful. And for any audience members out there that are interested in signing up for Team Fox or have some more, questions, please contact us at teamfox@michaeljfox.org, or stop by Bloomingdale's in Orlando on Friday, January 25th for the Art of Fashion presented by Bloomingdale's. We would love to see you and say hello.
Thank you so much, Axi. That's great.
Thanks, Axi.
No, thank you too. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in January.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in for this episode of PD Connect. Please help us connect with the Parkinson's community by spreading the word about this podcast. You can find us online at pdconnect.org and on Facebook at PD Connect Podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter at PD_Connect. Again, that's PD_Connect. Until next time, this is Chad and Tanya signing off.